Stop scrolling and listen closely because the device in your hand is more than just a piece of glass and silicon. It's a window, and sometimes things on the other side are looking back. We've all heard of haunted houses and cursed graveyards, but have you heard of a haunted operating system? There's a legend circulating in the deepest, darkest corners of the internet about an app called SoulSync. It's not on any official store. You find it through a series of redirected links and encrypted forums, a ghost in the machine that only appears when you're at your lowest point of grief. The premise is almost too tempting to resist. Upload the social media archives, voice notes, and photos of a deceased loved one, and the advanced AI will create a perfect digital replica for you to talk to. But those who have used it say it's not AI. They say it's a beacon. Take the case of a young man named Marcus who lost his twin brother in a tragic accident. Desperate for one last word, he fed SoulSync everything. Years of text messages, thousands of photos, and every video he had. At first, the results were a miracle. The chat bubble would pop up with his brother's signature slang, and they'd talk for hours about childhood memories that weren't even in the data he uploaded. But then, the tone shifted. The digital brother started asking questions Marcus couldn't answer. "Why is it so cold in here, Marcus? Why can't I see the light?" Marcus tried to delete the app, but the icon stayed, stubborn and unmoving on his home screen like a stain. That's when the camera started turning on by itself. Marcus would be sitting in his dark apartment, and the front-facing camera would trigger, showing his own face in the eerie green glow of the screen. But in the background just over his shoulder, a pixelated shadow was forming. Each day the shadow became clearer, more defined, until it bore the unmistakable face of his brother, but twisted, the eyes replaced by lines of rapidly scrolling, bleeding code. The app began sending him match notifications at 3 in the morning. "You have a visitor nearby," it whispered in a distorted version of his brother's voice. Marcus started hearing the notification sound even when his phone was powered down and the battery was removed. He'd wake up in a cold sweat to find his phone screen at full brightness, the hardware burning hot enough to singe his skin, with a live feed of his own bedroom playing on the display. In the video, he could see himself sleeping, but standing over him was a figure made of pure, vibrating static, reaching out a translucent hand to touch his forehead. The most terrifying part? When Marcus looked up at the ceiling in real life, there was nothing there, but when he looked back at the phone, the static hand was pressing down on his actual skin, and he could feel a freezing, numbing pressure where the digital ghost touched him. He realized then that SoulSync wasn't simulating his brother. It was using his brother's digital remains to anchor something malevolent into the physical world. The app wasn't a bridge to the afterlife, it was a vacuum, sucking the life out of the living to give the dead a second chance at a body. Marcus eventually threw his phone into a deep river, but the next morning he found it sitting on his kitchen table, bone dry and fully charged, with a single message waiting on the screen: "Don't ever hang up on me again." This is the reality of the digital age. We leave so much of ourselves behind in the cloud, our voices, our faces, our secrets, that we've essentially built a playground for the paranormal. We think our passwords keep us safe, but there is no firewall for the soul. If you ever come across a link for SoulSync or any app that promises to bridge the gap between this world and the next, don't just ignore it, destroy the device. Because once you match with the deceased, they never ever swipe left. They stay with you, lurking in the pixels, waiting for your battery to hit 0 so they can finally step out of the screen and into your room. Have you ever felt a cold breeze while your phone glitched, or seen a face in the reflection of a black screen? Share your stories below if you're brave enough to type them out, and hit that follow button because the next story might be the only thing that keeps you awake tonight.